Everyone laughed when he bought an old locked box with no key until its contents uncovered a forgotten story that changed an entire town. Before we uncover today's incredible mystery, make sure to subscribe to the channel and become part of our growing family. If you enjoy stories filled with secrets, unexpected discoveries, and unbelievable twists, don't forget to leave a like. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is in your part of the world. Now, sit back and get ready for an unforgettable journey that began with a simple locked box at a flea market and led to a discovery nobody could have imagined. Daniel Brooks had always believed that ordinary places often hid extraordinary stories. That belief explained why he spent so many weekends wandering through flea markets. While most people visited shopping malls, Daniel preferred rows of old tables covered with forgotten items. He loved the mystery. Every object had a history. Every item once belonged to someone. Old watches, photographs, books, furniture. Sometimes he bought things. Most times he simply looked. The excitement came from possibility rather than ownership. His fascination with forgotten objects began when he was a child. His grandfather often took him to flea markets and antique fairs. The older man never searched for expensive treasures. Instead, he searched for stories. He would pick up an old object and wonder aloud about its past. Who owned it? Where had it traveled? What memories did it hold? Those questions shaped Daniel's personality. Years later, even after his grandfather passed away, Daniel continued the tradition. Not because he expected wealth, because curiosity made life interesting. At 34, Daniel worked as a graphic designer. His life felt comfortable but predictable. Work, home, sleep, repeat. The flea markets provided something different. Adventure, mystery, possibility. One cool Saturday morning, Daniel visited a large outdoor flea market several towns away. Hundreds of vendors filled the area. Customers wandered between stalls. Music played softly in the background. The atmosphere felt lively. Daniel spent nearly 2 hours exploring. Nothing captured his attention. A few interesting books, some vintage tools, several old paintings. Nothing unusual. Then he noticed a small table tucked away near the edge of the market. An older man stood behind it. Most shoppers walked past without stopping. The items appeared ordinary. Boxes, lamps, kitchen supplies, random household goods. Daniel almost continued walking. Then he saw the box. At first glance, it looked simple. A wooden box roughly the size of a shoebox. Yet something immediately felt different. The craftsmanship appeared remarkable. Intricate carvings covered the sides. Strange symbols decorated the corners. Most importantly, a small brass lock secured the lid. The box was locked. Daniel picked it up carefully. It felt heavier than expected. The seller noticed his interest. Interesting piece, isn't it? Daniel nodded. Very. Know anything about it? The man laughed. Not a thing. That answer surprised him. Where did it come from? I bought an abandoned storage unit last year. Daniel examined the carvings more closely. The details looked handmade, not factory-produced. Every line seemed deliberate. Every symbol appeared meaningful. Do you have the key? The seller shook his head. No key. Never found one. Daniel turned the box over. No visible openings. No obvious way inside. Only the lock. Curiosity immediately awakened. Most people would have lost interest. Daniel became more interested. The mystery attracted him. A locked box with an unknown history. No key. No explanation. No clues. Just questions. The seller named a price. $20. Daniel hesitated briefly. Buying a locked box seemed irrational. He knew that. The contents might be worthless. The box might be empty. Still, something encouraged him to take the risk. Eventually, he handed over the money. The seller smiled. Good luck. Daniel laughed. I might need it. The drive home felt unusually exciting. The box sat on the passenger seat beside him. Several times he glanced toward it. The mystery continued growing. What could possibly be inside? Old letters? Jewelry? Documents? Nothing. His imagination produced endless possibilities. Once home, he placed the box on his dining table, then began examining it carefully. Hours passed. He studied every surface, every carving, every corner. Yet the lock refused to reveal its secret. Friends reacted exactly as expected. Several laughed when he shared photos. You spent $20 on a locked box? One friend couldn't stop laughing. What if it's empty? Another asked. Daniel smiled. Maybe. You don't even know what's inside. I know. Then why buy it? Daniel considered the question. The answer felt simple. Because I wanted to know. Most people didn't understand. But Daniel wasn't searching for value. He was searching for answers. That difference mattered. The following evening, he continued examining the box. This time he focused on the carvings. The symbols seemed unusual, almost like a puzzle. Hours later, while studying the underside, he noticed something strange. One section of what appeared slightly different, barely noticeable, almost invisible. Excitement immediately returned. Carefully pressing the area produced a soft click. Daniel froze. A hidden compartment slowly slid open. His pulse quickened. Inside rested a tiny folded piece of paper. Nothing else. Just a single note. For a moment, disappointment appeared. Then curiosity replaced it. Because someone had hidden this message deliberately. With shaking hands, Daniel unfolded the paper. A short sentence appeared. Below it sat an address. No explanation. No instructions. No signature. Only an address located nearly 200 miles away. Daniel stared at the note. Questions multiplied instantly. Who wrote it? Why hide it inside a secret compartment? What existed at the address? Most importantly, was the locked box simply the beginning? As he looked from the mysterious note back to the unopened box, a realization slowly formed. The real mystery wasn't inside the box. The real mystery was waiting at the address written on that tiny piece of paper. The small piece of paper sat on Daniel's dining table for nearly a week. Every day after work, he found himself staring at it. The address looked ordinary. No special markings. No explanation. No clue about what might be waiting there. Just a location nearly 200 miles away. Most people would have ignored it. Most people would have assumed it was a prank or a meaningless coincidence. Daniel couldn't. The mystery kept pulling him back. Every time he looked at the locked box, new questions appeared. Why hide an address inside a secret compartment? Why go through so much effort to conceal something so simple? Who created the box? And why did it eventually end up forgotten in a storage unit? The questions became impossible to ignore. Finally, on a Friday evening, Daniel made a decision. He would visit the address. Not because he expected treasure. Not because he expected wealth. Because he needed answers. Early Saturday morning, he packed a small bag and began driving. The trip took several hours. As cities disappeared behind him, the roads became quieter. Small towns replaced busy highways. Open fields stretched toward the horizon. The farther he traveled, the more surreal the journey felt. All of this because of a $20 box. By early afternoon, he arrived. The address led to a small town that seemed frozen in time. Old brick buildings lined the streets. Several businesses appeared unchanged for decades. The atmosphere felt peaceful, yet strangely mysterious. Daniel checked the address again, then looked up. The location stood directly in front of him. An old building, weathered, aged, partially abandoned. At first glance, it appeared empty. The windows looked dusty. The paint had faded. Nature slowly reclaimed portions of the property. Daniel sat quietly in his car. Part of him suddenly felt foolish. What exactly was he expecting? A hidden treasure? A dramatic revelation? Perhaps he had allowed his imagination to run wild. Still, curiosity pushed him forward. After parking nearby, he approached the building. The front door remained unlocked. The interior looked neglected but not completely abandoned. Dust covered many surfaces. Old furniture remained scattered throughout several rooms. Sunlight entered through cracked windows. Everything felt strangely quiet. Then Daniel noticed something unusual. Carved into a wooden beam near the entrance was a symbol. The exact same symbol from the box. His heartbeat accelerated. This wasn't coincidence. Someone intentionally connected the building to the box. Excitement returned instantly. He began searching carefully, room after room, wall after wall. Eventually, inside an old desk drawer, he discovered another folded note. Just like the first one, the message was short, simple, but it included another clue. And another location within the building. Daniel followed it. The second clue led to a hidden compartment behind a bookshelf. Inside waited another note. And another. And another. Each clue revealed a small piece of a much larger puzzle. Hours passed. Daniel barely noticed. The mystery consumed him completely. Every discovery increased his determination. Eventually, the clues led him to a locked cabinet hidden beneath a staircase. Unlike the box, the cabinet wasn't difficult to open. Inside, he discovered something extraordinary. Old journals, photographs, letters, dozens of documents carefully preserved. The collection appeared organized, deliberate, as though someone intended future visitors to find it. Daniel carefully examined the materials. The photographs immediately captured his attention. Most appeared nearly a century old. Families, businesses, community events, faces frozen in time. The journals proved even more interesting. Several entries described the history of the town, important events, personal stories, names long forgotten. The deeper Daniel explored, the more fascinating the mystery became. Whoever created the collection wanted something remembered, something important, something history nearly lost. For the next several hours, Daniel read page after page. The journals described a man named Edward Sinclair, a wealthy businessman who lived in the town decades earlier. Strangely, very little public information existed about him. Despite repeated references in the journals, nobody seemed to remember his name today. The realization puzzled Daniel. How could someone appear so important in historical records, yet disappear from public memory? The answer slowly emerged through the documents. Edward Sinclair spent much of his fortune helping others. Schools, medical facilities, community projects, scholarships, charitable programs. Yet he refused public recognition. Again and again, the journals mentioned the same thing. Edward preferred anonymity. He believed good deeds should speak for themselves. As years passed, records disappeared. People moved away. Memories faded. Eventually, his contributions vanished from local history. The town continued benefiting from his generosity. Yet nobody remembered the man responsible. Daniel found the story surprisingly emotional. A person devoted years to helping others. Then history forgot him completely. The unfairness bothered him. Yet one question remained. What did any of this have to do with the locked box? The answer finally appeared near the end of the final journal. Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he read. The box wasn't designed to protect valuables. It wasn't designed to protect money. It wasn't even designed to protect secrets. It was designed to protect evidence. Proof. Documentation. Historical records. Evidence proving everything Edward Sinclair had done. Evidence hidden deliberately to survive the passage of time. The journals explained that certain documents remained concealed elsewhere. The locked box served as the first clue. The building served as the second. And somewhere nearby waited the final collection. The final proof. The final piece of the puzzle. Daniel continued reading eagerly. Then his eyes landed on the final page. A location. A hidden place. A final set of instructions. His pulse quickened immediately. Because according to the journal, the evidence hidden there would reveal a forgotten story, capable of changing the town's history forever. Daniel barely slept that night. The journals remained spread across the small motel room desk. Photographs, letters, maps, notes. Every piece of evidence pointed toward the same conclusion. Edward Sinclair had changed countless lives. Yet almost nobody remembered his name. The discovery felt deeply unfair. A man devoted years to helping others, only to disappear from history. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about it. The final journal rested open beside him. Its last pages described one final location, one final collection of documents, one final secret waiting to be uncovered. If the journal was correct, those records contained undeniable proof of everything Edward Sinclair had accomplished. By sunrise, Daniel was already on the road. The final clue led him outside town toward a quiet piece of land surrounded by old trees. The area looked peaceful, almost forgotten. According to the journal, a small stone structure once stood there. Most people would have walked past without noticing anything unusual. Daniel searched carefully. Minutes passed. Then he spotted it. A weathered stone marker partially hidden beneath vegetation. His heart began racing. The symbol carved into the stone matched the symbol on the locked box. The same symbol, the same trail, the same mystery. This was it. Carefully clearing away dirt and roots, Daniel discovered a concealed metal hatch beneath the marker. The mechanism resisted at first. Years of weather had nearly sealed it shut. Eventually it opened. A narrow storage chamber appeared below. Daniel switched on a flashlight and climbed down. The space wasn't large, but what he found inside left him speechless. Boxes, dozens of them, neatly arranged, carefully preserved, protected from moisture and time. For several moments, he simply stared. Then he opened the first box. Documents, financial records, letters, property agreements, donation receipts, photographs, everything organized with incredible precision. The deeper he explored, the clearer the picture became. Edward Sinclair had quietly funded schools, hospitals, libraries, community programs, housing projects, scholarships, food assistance efforts, projects that transformed thousands of lives. Yet his name appeared nowhere on the buildings, nowhere on public records, nowhere in local history. He never wanted recognition. But someone close to him understood a problem. Without evidence, future generations would never know the truth. So they created the locked box, the clues, the journals, the entire trail, a carefully designed system intended to preserve history. And now, decades later, it had finally worked. Daniel spent hours documenting everything. Photographs, scans, notes, videos. He understood immediately that this discovery mattered. Not because it involved treasure, not because it involved wealth, because it involved truth. The following weeks became a whirlwind. Daniel contacted historians, archivists, researchers, local officials. At first, some people expressed skepticism. Then they examined the evidence. The reaction changed instantly. Experts verified the documents. Signatures matched historical records. Financial information aligned perfectly. The evidence proved authentic. And the implications were enormous. News spread quickly. Local newspapers reported the story first. Regional news stations followed. Then national media became interested. People everywhere were fascinated. Not by hidden gold, not by lost riches, but by the story of a forgotten man whose generosity changed countless lives. Historians called it one of the most important discoveries in the town's history. Researchers spent months studying the documents. Each new discovery revealed additional contributions, additional acts of kindness, additional lives touched. The scale amazed everyone. Soon, community leaders began discussing ways to honor Edward Sinclair. Schools shared his story with students. Museums created exhibits featuring the documents. Historical societies preserved the records for future generations. A memorial was eventually built in the town square. For the first time in nearly a century, people finally learned the name of the man responsible for so much good. The dedication ceremony attracted hundreds of visitors. Families gathered. Reporters interviewed historians. Residents shared stories. Many expressed gratitude toward Daniel. Without his curiosity, none of this would have happened. Standing near the memorial, Daniel felt strangely emotional. The journey started with a dusty locked box, sitting on a forgotten flea market table. A purchase most people would have ignored. A mystery most people would have dismissed. Yet that simple decision changed everything. Not only for him, for an entire community. The experience transformed Daniel as well. Before the discovery, he viewed curiosity as a hobby, an interest, a way to spend weekends. Afterward, he viewed it differently. Curiosity became something powerful, something capable of uncovering truth, preserving history, changing lives. Years later, visitors still came to see the exhibit. Students still learned about Edward Sinclair. Researchers still studied the documents. The story continued inspiring people. And whenever journalists asked Daniel why he bought the locked box, he always gave the same answer. I didn't buy a box. The response usually confused them. Then he smiled. I bought a question, because that's what truly started everything. A question, a mystery, a willingness to look deeper when others walked away. The locked box never contained gold, never contained jewels, never contained a fortune. It contained something far more valuable, a forgotten story, a hidden legacy, and proof that one person's kindness can continue changing lives long after they're gone. In the end, the contents of the box shocked everyone not because they revealed treasure, but because they revealed the extraordinary impact of a man the world had nearly forgotten.